I lost everything. And when you lose everything, God shows you what's real. Those words came from a good friend of mine. A man who walked away from the life he thought he was building, but not because he wanted to. He separated because, well, it all collapsed underneath him. The career that he'd worked so hard on, gone. A lot of the people that he trusted and relied on seemed to disappear. Certainty essentially devolved into chaos. He blinked his eyes and went from successful and on top of the world to homeless and on the streets of New York. Everything he'd built, gone. Everything he thought he knew, shattered. And although that seems like the end of a story, what it was the beginning of one. Because it brought about transformation, not only of his circumstance, but seemingly of his soul, right? This is not about someone just enduring or surviving, but it's like he awoke. Eventually seeing through the noise, false perception, through the performative layers that so many of us call life. And a few days ago in Austin, I asked him, hey, how do you walk so freely? How are you so unapologetically yourself, right? You say what you mean to an extent I've never seen. You don't tiptoe. You don't chase approval. How? And this is sitting across the table at breakfast. He's holding his coffee. Says, look, I've already had life take everything away. What's life gonna do? Take it away again? When you've been stripped down to nothing, you realize that most of what you feared losing was never real to begin with. And that really hit me. I don't know that old version of my friend, but I know the version sitting across from me at breakfast now, and I can only imagine what that process, what that pressure cooker felt like. But here's where it gets important for you, because his story is extreme. I'm guessing most people will never face the depth of loss he did. And let's be honest, we shouldn't have to lose everything to find clarity. We shouldn't need devastation to become free. What if we could learn the lesson from his journey without the extent of the tragedy? What if we could simulate that fire without having to burn everything down to ashes? See, that's the difference between waiting and creating. Tragedy forced my friend to wake up. But maybe you don't have to wait for life to burn it down. You can choose discomfort. You can manufacture suffering. You can create situations that challenge your comfort zone, that earn your confidence, that build the clarity he found without the collapse. It's like forging steel, right? You don't wait for the sword to break in battle. No, you temper it beforehand. You introduce it to heat and resilience, pressure, so that when the time comes, you are ready. If you want to grow, jump into the cold water. Say what you mean. Yes, even when it's awkward. Get up earlier than you think you can. Stand your ground when you'd rather nod, smile, and conform. Walk into the gym, the meeting, the room when every part of you wants to shrink or hide. Because the little manufactured battles, they become stepping stones. Each one proving to you that you are more than the voice of fear. Each one turning you into someone new. Talked about a moment recently about a kid standing on a rock ledge high above a lake. Summer day, his friends below already laughing and in the water, But he's shaking, toes curled over the edge, mind racing, his brain, like any brain, I'm sure, scanning for disaster. What if I fall wrong? What if I hit something? What if it goes poorly? But standing still is its own prison. And in this situation, perhaps the only prison, right? And so eventually he jumps, and when he comes up for air, breathless, eyes wide, he isn't just relieved, he is alive. He opened himself up to let the light in, becoming something new on the way down. He met a version of himself that hesitation could never reach. And that's the path for all of us. You can wait for the storm, or you can learn to dance in the rain. You can wait for the loss, or you can strip away those things that do not serve you. You can float through life hoping for peace, or you can go to war with your fears and create it. Which brings to mind an old tale from ancient China, where a great philosopher would tell this story about a wealthy man who captures this bird and locks him in a golden cage, but feeds him the rarest, most extravagant seed, the best food, offered it everything it could want, everything except freedom. Day after day, the bird sat still, wings tucked in. People marveled at its beauty, but it never sang. Then one day, the cage was left open, and though that bird was weak from confinement, it flew away and never came back. And when asked why the bird would leave a life of luxury, the old man said simply, "Because to be free and hungry is greater than to be full and imprisoned." Only in the sky could the bird remember who it truly was, and that's what we're talking about, right? You're not here to be admired in a metaphorical cage, to be playing a role in someone else's story. You're not here to be acting out a part prescribed for you. You're here to fly, to live truthfully, to sing your song, even if it shakes the room. Freedom, it doesn't mean chaos necessarily. It means choosing what you give your energy to. It means protecting your time and honoring your energy and chasing what makes you feel alive and unapologetically cutting those things that don't. Because here's the truth. When you lose everything, life cannot take from you what you're willing to rebuild. And when you choose to give things up, the people-pleasing, the lies, the masks, you gain something worth far more. Yourself. We're not here to tiptoe through life. We're here to run through it like we were born to, scraped knees, heart open, unshaken, to jump, to break, to rise again. Not as the same person, but as someone who knows what's real. We know what's possible. We know what's out there. The question is not, does it exist? The question is, will you choose it?